Hi, Jason Knott with CE Pro, and today I am talking about lighting with Jay Williams, Residential Lighting Director at Lutron. Hi, Jay.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me today. Let's jump right into this. Obviously, this is such a hot category for so many integrators. And Lutron, with its Ketra line and its obviously existing fixture lines, has quite a mix of opportunity for integrators in this space. So, what is that mixture of downlights versus modular linear lighting that an integrator should be looking for?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's important to have a mixture of downlights and linear, as it really helps to add comfort to a space and gives the designer more flexibility to be able to appropriately layer lighting in for their scenes, along with adding actually more drama and personality to the space. For instance, when you take a normal day-to-day scene like natural, and then you transition into something that's more tailored to a specific moment in the space, like dining, entertainment, movie time, or relaxing, you can have greater shifts in the actual environment itself in order to set the mood and actually evoke more emotion. And with these types of emotions and that connection that the end user ends up having with that lighting, those are the things they tend to be really proud of. They go tell their friends about, and then ends up leading into more referrals and potential business for them.
Tell us about some of Ketra's product options in the linear lighting space.
So Ketra has two linear options. We have a high voltage linear called G2, which is great for indirect lighting applications. And then also a smaller profile, low voltage linear called Lightbar Slim to fit in a lot of those other smaller spaces that a G2 can't be placed in. Both of these linears actually deliver the full Ketra magic and are purposefully built for the types of applications that they're used in. With these two linears, a dealer can take and perfectly layer them throughout a space for the applications that we actually just discussed. As Ketra is natively integrated into the Homeworks QSX platform, installing and setting it up is a breeze for the dealer. It's really easy for the designer to tune the light for their scenes that they're creating, and extremely easy for the end user to control, whether it's that first button press on the wall, an app, or voice control.
You mentioned earlier your example of like the kitchen space with under cabinet and toe kick and those sorts of things. And then obviously you're going to want to have illumination over that sink or that cooking area. What is the ratio, or is there any sort of ratio of canned lights versus linear lighting in a space?
That's not the first time we've gotten that question. In particular, we really don't have a specific ratio for that. That is really a question that I'd say is much better suited for a lighting designer. Here at Lutron, we're actually really big advocates of our dealers using lighting designers on their projects. Lighting design is really truly an art, and they end up designing the space with light, of course. They use different techniques in order to appropriately place the right amount of light in a space based upon several different factors. They ensure the lighting is actually used correctly to complement architecture, finishes, artwork, tasks of the space, and also other elements in the area.
Is there any sort of specific trick or technique or skill that's necessary to install linear lights? How difficult or easy are they to install?
For linears, that one can be a tricky question. That one is really truly based upon the actual place that it's being installed, and along with whatever manufacturer you end up choosing. There can actually be a pretty fair amount of work for not only assembling the linear, but also project management that can go in installing it. For instance, it's actually not uncommon for a dealer to cut extrusions, lenses, need to make sure that they have the counts for the number of end caps or connectors that they need to have, along with brackets. I've seen dealers soldering, and there's a lot of other headaches that sometimes you have to account for when you're assembling the linear yourself, whether it be on the actual job site or in the shop before it even ends up onto the job site itself. One thing that when designing Lightbar Slim in particular, we really wanted to take that headache out of the equation for our dealers. So our dealers will actually use My Projects ordering tool, which is the normal day-to-day ordering tool that they use for all of our other projects or products, excuse me. And we make it very easy to be able to configure a run. So they, for instance, would just enter in the length that they need, and then we'll automatically calculate for the correct number of parts, the maximum run length that you can have per controller. And then that builds a work order for us so that then when the light bar ships to the actual dealer, it arrives at their office already built, completed to their specification, and is ready to install.
Yeah, that sounds like it makes it much easier. Okay, let's talk about the revenue opportunity here with an integrator who might currently be only doing architectural in-ceiling lights, but now he can add linear lighting to the mix. How does that change the financial picture?
So lighting in particular, I mean, we say this quite often, lighting in a home is actually has been taken for granted for many years. And sometimes even having high quality light and just the down lights isn't even a given, much less actually having linear lights in the space. So linear lighting is a massive opportunity for our dealers. And as we discussed, it really adds a lot to the experience and can make living in the home even more enjoyable. So the really key thing here is that no matter what project or what home you're in, they all have places that you can install this linear lighting. Of course, our dealers, they want to maximize the amount of revenue that they sell into a single opportunity while it also being really beneficial to the experience that the end user receives. But when I take a look at our projects that have linear lighting on them, it can range anywhere from having a couple hundred feet to thousands of feet of linear on it. So that in itself really represents a pretty large opportunity for our dealers to offer this additional type of light source and have an increase in their overall revenue per project.
And you make a great point there. That first step is to get into lighting in any way, shape, or form, whether it is the architectural lighting. As we know, it's such a new category, but many integrators still haven't quite yet jumped into it. All right, so now I'm an integrator and I want to get into lighting, or I'm into lighting. How do I showcase this effectively with customers?
So there's a couple different ways. We have developed our own sales tools. Like we have a Ketra demo bag that actually walks through the sequence of kind of how Ketra lighting is different than any other light source that's available today. Along with, we really do encourage people to be truly immersed in the actual experience. So we do have experience centers all across North America for our dealers to be able to visit. Of course, we know, getting on a plane and traveling to New York or Irvine or someplace that our experience centers are isn't always necessarily the most convenient thing. So we do also offer virtual experiences. And even though it is coming across a computer screen, it is really quite compelling. And we have sold and closed many projects just even through these virtual demonstrations. Another key aspect that we really do encourage dealers to do is whether they have an office space or a true showroom. Part of being a Ketra dealer, we do have a showroom program as well that actually gives you the recipe of the particular scenes that we want you to show in order to show the differences and get your client immersed. Along with, we work directly with you in order to review your plans and what type of lighting you're placing in the showroom in order to make sure it's going to show off as best as possible.
So Lutron is in a very unique position. What are the major advantages for an integrator to be able to source lighting controls, lighting fixtures, and motorized shades from a single source manufacturer?
For us, I mean, we see that as a major advantage. We take a look at it as, having a really truly integrated by design approach. So here at Lutron, we're very passionate about the end user experience. So for us, we know that, oftentimes for our clients, the first interaction for them is that first button press on the wall, to then knowing exactly what the end result is going to be coming out of the luminaires, whether it's downlights, linears, or lamps, and then exactly how that's going to be tied to the window treatments that are controlling the natural light coming in throughout the entire space. So we really look at it as an intelligent lighting system-based approach versus taking a look at individual parts and components and needing to bring them together through third parties, right? So this allows us to have that system-based approach and allows our dealers to really know that when offering our solutions, that they have something that is going to be really holistic and simple and allows for the end user to have the best ultimate experience in their home. So with that, these three things, certainly when we look at dealers getting into lighting, also in particular, lighting is one of those first things that ends up being part of the decision-making process. And if they're offering the lighting on the project, then that means that you have your controls come along with that, and then also your shading as well. So overall, when you take a look at the entire portfolio, and if you're in the business offering the lighting, the shades, and the controls, again, it really gives you a major advantage.
So if an integrator wants more information, where should they go?
So certainly we have our luxury website, luxury.lutron.com, that our dealers can go and visit and understand more about that system-based approach that we take for controls, shading, and lighting. Another great way to do it is that we do have experienced Ketra virtually on our website as well. So dealers can go and take a look at that to understand what the differentiating experience is. And of course, we have our network of rep agencies all across North America for our dealers to be able to reach out to. If they don't already know who the rep agency is, you can actually go onto our where to buy and then enter in your location. You can find your local rep agency and reach out to them. And they would be able to take you through what it would take to become a dealer with Lutron, whether it is with just controls, just shades, and bringing all of that together for you.